welcome to the Pursuit of Calling podcast, pursuers, where my goal and purpose is to provide you with the tools and strategies needed to successfully discover and pursue your God-given calling. I'm your host, Thomas Carney, and today we're debunking the tradition of New Year's resolutions. Let's dive in. Okay, so I don't hate New Year's resolutions, but I do think they're misused. And that's what I'm looking at debunking. You know, people usually fail their New Year's resolutions because what they generally want to change are their circumstances and not themselves. In the article, 5 Reasons New Year's Resolutions Fail by Maxwell Leadership, it stated that people put in just enough effort to distance themselves from their problems without ever trying to go after the root, which can often be found in themselves. Because they don't try to change the source of their problems keep coming back to them. So that's why, you know, when you go to the gym, like, it's so full at the beginning of January, and then at the end of February, it's empty again. Because so many people, they work on changing their circumstances. They get into the gym, but they don't work on what's internal and work on their mindset. They don't work on the actual source of the problem when they look into the mirror. And like a really great example of this is even financially. Think about people who think the problem that they have is that they don't have enough money. So they figure out how to change that circumstance so that they can maybe get a raise, or they come in, or maybe they, I don't know, win the lottery, or somehow they get some more financial income, and they think all their problems are solved. And then eventually those same problems they had before, where they didn't have enough money, come back to bite them, because what they really didn't understand or realize is that the problem wasn't that they didn't have enough money, is that their spending habits were poor. They spent too much money on shoes, going out to eat. And whenever they got more money, that just amplified that kind of lifestyle. So whenever you're thinking about, I think I talked about it on a previous episode, instead of looking at changing the circumstances around the problem, try figuring out the root of it. And usually the root of the problem is internal, and not a lot of people don't like. That's why a lot of people's problems never get solved. It's because they don't want to look at themselves and seeing that there's something with them that needs to change. So what is an alternative? It's like, they're like, Thomas, like, you're saying New Year's resolutions, I'm not saying they don't work, I'm saying they're misused. And so, Thomas, what's an alternative if they're misused? Like, what's a better way to think about these quote unquote resolutions? So, you know, what works best for me typically, to be honest with you, is not setting any actual resolutions at all, and instead deciding to fully commit to personal growth. The biggest issue I have with the New Year's resolution is that a lot of the time it pushes off growth till the next year. It says, on January 1st, I'll start going to the gym. And my question is, why not just start going now? Why wait? If you actually want to lose weight, if you actually want to get fit, why wouldn't you just go now? If you want to get more income, why wait to figure that out until next year? If you want to pursue personal growth, why wait to start reading more books until January 1st, until 2025? Why not just start today? I know when this episode comes out, it's New Year's Eve. And it's kind of, you can bait like, Thomas, too little, too late. It's tomorrow's 2025. I get that. But now I'm saying, but hear me out. That whenever you are waiting on doing, when this releases, it's lunchtime. Around lunchtime on the 31st of December, you can just start now. You don't gotta wait till tomorrow. You can do it. I believe in you. So, you know, now obviously you have to do more than just say you're gonna grow. Goals are important. Having a vision of where you want to go needs to be established. It needs to be established where you are and where you want to be. So right now, I want you to write down, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. Right now or after the episode, I want you to write down 5 things you want to accomplish in 2025. I want you to make some realistic and honestly some unrealistic goals. And I'm going to tell you why I want you to set some unrealistic goals in a second. We're going to go more in depth on that. Give them a time frame of when you would like to accomplish these goals by, and make it quantitative. Give it a numeric value of some sort. That gives it some sort of value so that you know how close you are to accomplishing this goal. So in Maxwell Leadership, they call this the beginning of your growth plan. Next, you want to establish the systems that are going to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. So what habits do you want to stop? I'm going to stop real quick and go back and say, I said systems. A lot of people say your goals are not as important as your systems. Your systems are more important than your goals. So what habits? Because it's the habits that, like some people say, show me your habits and I'll show you your future. Show me what you're doing every single day and I'll show you your future. So what habits do you need to stop? What habits do you need to start? These can and will replace the ones that you're removing. So let's make sure I'm not just and let's make sure I'm not just talking out of my butt. I'm going to show you that I practice what I preach. So here's some of my 2025 growth plan to give you some examples and maybe get your juices flowing on what goals you can be setting for yourself. So you know how I said to set unrealistic goals? Like, I'm being 100% serious. I want you to set the most unrealistic goal that you can think of. You might be thinking, Thomas, if they're unrealistic, why would I try to achieve it? And that's because, and I thought about this, oh man, it hit me and it was like, wow, this is so cool. What you think is unrealistic now might be realistic at the end of the year. What is realistic now is going to change. It's going to, if you're really on a path of personal growth, then what is realistic at the end of the year is going to be exponentially more than what's realistic now. So put down in something that you think is unrealistic and work towards that goal. Create the systems to achieve it. And even if you don't, you're going to get way closer than you would have gotten if you didn't set that goal in the first place. So set an unrealistic goal. Make that one of your 5. So my unrealistic goal is become pain-free for a month in 2025. That's my quantitative part. A month. So even if I'm pain-free for a week, a day, a week, a few days, that doesn't count. It doesn't count for me accomplishing the goal. What that does count towards, though, is saying if I go for a week without being being pain-free, that means I got 25% of the way towards my goal. And and this needs to be a straight month, right? So, and the way that I'm going to do this, I have the systems I have in place right now are doing the only one I have actually in place, if I'm being honest, is doing morning stretches. I just honestly started that today. I set whenever I turn off my morning alarm, my Echo Dot, I almost woke it up, says after I turn off my alarm, it tells me any reminders, and then it tells me, hey, Thomas, remember to do your morning stretches. And I do my morning stretches because that's something that a lot of people with dystonia recommend to do to help alleviate their pain, or at least reduce it a little bit. So that's one thing I'm doing. I'm also going to do some research in the dystonia subreddit, ask people what they're doing, and I'm going to start putting a research schedule onto my calendar, and start a research of what I can be doing to get myself to the point where I can be pain-free for a month. Now, some people will hear that and think, Thomas, you can't do that. Doctors say it's not possible to heal muscular dystonia. And I say, screw that. I don't care if it's unrealistic. We're going to figure it out. If what one person says it's unrealistic, it's realistic to somebody else. That happens everywhere, all over the place. So let's figure that out. Okay, that's my unrealistic goal. Let's keep moving. So actually, no. Even if I don't become pain-free, I want to say this: I still have hope because of my faith in God, because of my faith in Jesus Christ. I know that because of my pain, I've become a man that I would have never become. I know that sometimes I'm going to worry, but I know at those times I have somebody I can lean on when I do worry. I can lean on Christ. I can lean on Christ. I can give him my worries and my pain, and I just really just rest in his peace in those moments, and just be reminded that my pain has a purpose. It's a great episode that I talked about, from pain to purpose, if you want to go back and listen to that one. So let's go to my next goal. I'm going to read or take notes on at least 300 pages a month within books for my own personal development, not books I read for fun. You want to be concise with these goals. So that doesn't give you any wiggle room. Because I was reading my goal out after I wrote it down. It's like, that could mean, because yesterday I read one book by Tony Robbins called Life Force. Definitely recommend it. But then I read that for about 20, 30 minutes. And then after I was done reading that, I read some of the Chronicles of Narnia. Now, I love that book. I read that for probably an hour, if I'm being honest. And that was that's my kind of my nighttime routine for me. But that doesn't count towards this goal. That doesn't count towards the habit I want to accomplish. So I'm saying the goal is a goal that I set every month, to read at least 300 pages a month within books for my own personal development. So I'm saying this because some books, I say 300 pages specifically because some books are longer, some books are shorter. So I want to make this a realistic goal. So this is about 10 pages a day is the habit I'm establishing. And that's at minimum, because I can read more than 10 pages in a day. Some days I won't have time to read, but if I can read on average at minimum 10 pages a day, I don't even want to say I don't have time to read. I have time to read 10 pages. I can do that. So 10 pages a day at minimum. I'm done rambling on that. Let's move to the next one. I want to be able to have a full 5-minute conversation in Japanese by the end of the year. So I want to continue to do at least one lesson of Japanese a day. I'm probably going to need to switch the apps I use to establish better systems. And that's what I got for that one. So I want to have 1,000 listeners by the end of 2025. So that means I need to consistently prepare and record one podcast episode each week. And I need to reach out to a minimum of 2 potential podcast guests each week. There's other things I can be doing, but they're more like one-off things, like establishing, getting my MailChimp set up to better for automations. But that doesn't go into the habits part of this. So then the next thing, my last one, is have 52 people coached by the end of 2025. That goes along with the podcast to get people into more people listening, so more people hear about the coaching. But also, a habit I can establish is reach out to on average 3 people a week to provide them with a free coaching session. So there's other avenues that feed that as well. So that's 5. I have one more. Just grow my professional network by at least 5 people a month through the coaching. And the guys, that is kind of where my mind has been at for the end of this year. I've been thinking about how I want 2025 to go, and I want to have a thriving personal development brand called The Pursuit of Calling. So that's my plan for 2025. There's probably going to be more. These goals might even change and mature as the year goes on. But this is what I have right now. You want to go in with the end in mind. Right? You want to establish these goals right now. You want to think about the systems that are going to take you from where you are to where you want to be. And then you need to hold yourself accountable to those goals. A great way to do that, honestly, is to hire a coach. So if you are interested in a free coaching call, you can actually you can click the link in the description to sign up for your free initial coaching call. Guys, I'm really excited to speak with some of you. Thank you for listening to the rest. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Pursuit of Calling podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, enjoyed this episode, give this podcast a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Share it out on social media, Instagram, X, Facebook. And guys, keep pursuing. I'll see you next time.